joining us this evening on this episode of Let's Talk. Today we're talking about relationships. This being our very, very first episode, and my intent with the show is to inspire people and provoke thought in people. So when I was working with the producers and coming up with the very first show episode, I thought, what better way, because everyone deals with it, relationships. So our segment today is on relationships, but today's topic is going to be marital relationships, finding that special one and making it last. And these two have truly did that. So I'd like to welcome my guests, Terry and Dyke Morrison. So Terry and Dyke have been married for 16 years. They've been together 18, but they have a very interesting story. They both were single parents. Dyke jokes and says he was a single mother. But Terry was a single mother with 3 kids, and Dyke was single with 1 daughter. And so they were on opposite ends of the earth. One was in Massachusetts, and the other, my buddy, was here in Iowa. And this was some 18 years ago, and computers were out then, but they weren't used as much for dating. So that's why when I met Terry, and she told me about a story that she met online, because I'm single as well, and I was like, and she said, I met my husband online. I was talking about I possibly dating online. But it's 2016, 13 or something when I met Terry, so people were doing it then. But back when you guys met, what year was that?
2001.
2001, people weren't dating online as much. People were afraid to do it.
Yes.
So y'all really stepped out on faith. Terry, you even said that you had just started using computers or just getting involved with it. You want to tell us a little bit about getting started on computers? I think your daughter started you on it.
So I had 3 tweens and teens at the time, and they had talked about getting online and getting into chat rooms, and I'd heard about chat rooms, but not necessarily really good things. So while they were on vacation with their dad, I got the internet hooked up to my house and got into some of the chat rooms to see what they were like, so I knew what kind of safeguards to put on them.
Now, when you say chat rooms, do they still use chat rooms?
I honestly don't know.
I never see, dude. I don't know. We'll have to find out.
I
don't know if there are any chat rooms.
That was the thing back then, to get into a chat room, and you could have up to 40 people in a room, and you would just communicate, text online, for lack of a better term.
Awesomeness.
And happened to be online one night and saw this interesting screen name. Screen names always attracted me, or it made me ponder where they came up with the name. And his kind of stood out from everybody else's and made me start to chat with. I don't remember who talked to who first, but my name caught his eye, and his screen name caught my eye, and we started chatting. And
wow!
18 years later.
Hers had green-eyed E.T. in it, and I've always had a thing for green eyes, so...
Oh.
And his was a whole bunch of numbers and letters that didn't make any sense.
Mine was fairly psychotic. So,
so green-eyed and numbers guy met up, huh?
Yep.
something like that.
And an interesting story involved. So when you first met with dating online and some of the security, and people sometimes would be afraid that I'm going to go meet an idiot or whatever. So how did you deal with that?
Well, we had chatted online for a couple of weeks, and I had the opportunity to go out to Natick, Massachusetts for work, and I decided to go out a couple days before my business meeting to see if I could meet up with him and see if he was really who he was saying he was. But the whole time we were chatting, I talked with his daughter, I talked with his sister, I would call him at work and talk to his coworkers, so if he was trying to pretend to be something, he wasn't a very good liar. But anyway, when I went out to meet him for the very first time, I actually had a friend of mine that I was meeting for business at the airport as well, in case I decided to chicken out and I wasn't willing to go with him. I had a backup. I had a guy that was going to escort me away from the airport if I felt unsafe. So wasn't going out there just cold turkey and trusting that he was who he said he was. But
and of course, I lived out there, so my backup was I would just leave the airport and we were there.
So since you guys were a success story with online dating, do you recommend that to people, single people out there? Do you recommend online dating?
As much as I recommend any dating, I mean, you're as likely to have luck, excuse me, meeting someone that way as any other way.
You have to be careful. You don't put
Yeah,
yourself
yeah,
out there.
like-
You have to be careful meeting people in a bar.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
I mean,
That's true.
Yeah, because I have teenagers, and I'm assuming they're
well.
going to start
You have our
dating.
deepest sympathy.
And so I was like, and I'm always trying to
we've
monitor.
played that game.
I always try to monitor what they're watching online and make sure they're not dating.
Yes.
And
I
so,
had one computer in my house, and it was in the living room.
right.
And there was no way they could do anything that I wasn't aware of.
Well, so technology now is computers
Yeah, it's
everywhere. You can't keep.
impossible.
I take their phones and they just get on the computer and call people. So it's like there's no way to get around it now.
This is true.
So technology. So you guys, some people are still married after 16 years, but they're just married. You guys, from what I see, and I see you guys often. Terry and I used to work together. You guys, and she talks very highly of Dyke. And you know, sometimes when you go to workplace, I was Terry's work husband, so
He took care of me.
so when you go to work, you can have a tendency to complain, oh, well, Dyke didn't do this, but she always spoke very highly of you and not in your presence. So that speaks volume on you guys' relationship. How do you keep that spark alive after 16 years and 4 children?
Well, I think the key to that is having the fact that we were both, over 40 years old and had both been through prior marriages, and it's just.
We were tired. We didn't want to play no games.
We had the games. We had the
drama.
the drama and everything. My daughter, one time we were on the phone with her, and she said something about she was fighting with her boyfriend, and she said, "Well, don't you and Terry fight all the time?" And just no,
We're too tired.
we're too old, too
So
tired.
that's
for
the key. I need to
that
find me a
crap.
woman over 40.
No, I think for us is we have date night once a month.
Oh,
Even
that's
now
good.
that there's nobody in the house, we still go out once a month.
Okay.
Just the two of us. We go to dinner.
We
and a
lock the
movie.
dogs up and
And y'all just go. That's awesome.
Whenever we always split duties at the house, especially we're both retired now, and when he cooks supper, I still thank him for cooking dinner for me. I don't assume that that's his responsibility and it's just going to happen.
Yeah, that's one thing I realized about relationship. I am divorced now. Had I not been divorced, but I am, there are some things, because we have a tendency when we get divorced to always blame the other person. But once I did get divorced, I did some self-analysis to the younger Kermit of when I was married. And I realized that everything that I was saying was all her, was not always all her. Some of it was me too. You guys have any advice on things that you may have done wrong that you can advise us not to do? Because I have 1,000 of them. If you want to learn, let me know. I'll let you know.
Well, I will say this, that once my ex and I were completely split apart, and my daughter came and lived with me, we had probably, my ex and I had a better relationship at that point than we had ever had
Awesome.
before we were married or anything. I mean,
Oh,
just,
wow.
I don't know if
Beautiful.
that was just my growing up or
Maturity.
I mean.
I think another thing is with us, if we have a disagreement or an argument anytime during the day, number one, you never get nasty with the other person. We always listen to one another, and we never go to bed angry.
Right.
We never go to bed angry.
And that brings another key point, communication. And this is not just your boo thing or your baby relationship. Communication in any relationship is so key. I've had people that not dating, just like friends, like girlfriends, fall out over something that was just a huge miscommunication.
Right.
So in any relationship, communication is key. Would you guys agree? Would you like to say anything about that?
No.
No, you don't have to.
Gonna hang me out on that one.
Yep,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah, it's as far as that goes. It's so easy to get the wrong idea about even such as the silliest thing that gets said, and if you don't understand what the other person said, because a lot of people will go on about communication where I didn't understand what they said and they should have made sure that no. If you don't understand, you have to ask. I mean,
Right.
if you don't understand what the other person said, go, hey, did you mean that you were trying to hurt my feelings there, or was
Right.
it just? I mean, if you don't understand what they say, it's your responsibility to ask that side of it too. I mean, you can't. Even if the other person sounds like they're being angry or mean, they may not be, and it might be completely your misunderstanding on that side. So it's, you have to, everybody has to play it both ways. I mean, it's
And it's what I found is so much easier, and I don't want to put my marriage into this up, but it's so much easier to just blame the other person.
Oh, yeah, well, it is.
This marriage jacked up. It's all
That's all
them,
his
and I
fault.
was perfect. That's not always the case, guys. Remember that. and you don't see that because some of the things I used to do, and it is so easy to get so caught up in you. And if it starts going awry, no one wants to blame themselves. No one wants to look like a bad person. But when you mature, and that was something Dyke said, when you mature and you get maturity, you can say, hey, I was wrong. And you can't have an issue or a problem with saying, I made a mistake or I was wrong. And that really will help the foundation of any relationship. I'd like to give you guys some statistics on the divorce rate here in America now. I'm going to give you some reasons that people divorce, and you can discuss either one of them, because what we want to do is provoke thought into people before these things happen, and that's the intent of the show. So 42% or 45% of first marriages end in divorce. So I'm in that. So I am divorced. So, and second marriages, 60% end in divorce. And I'll get to why I think that is in just a moment. But here are some of the leading causes of divorce in America. Number one, infidelity, money, communication, as we spoke about earlier. This one is weird to me. I didn't think this would be up there, but weight gain. And it didn't say who, it just said weight gain.
Yeah.
Unrealistic expectations, lack of intimacy, and lack of equality, treating each other equal. And you spoke on that earlier, so if you want to expound on that or if you want to speak on any other ones. And not to dig into you guys' stuff, but just in general that we can provoke a young couple that may be getting married or consider getting married.
Well, when you get divorced in Iowa, you have to take a parenting class. It's required. You cannot get divorced.
Only if you have children.
Correct.
Okay.
And you have to take a course through Scott Community College, and it's a 3-hour course.
Okay.
And one of the first things they talk about is statistics, how many people get divorced. And they said statistically, if you get divorced, you should wait 5 years to remarry. If you get married within the first 5 years after your divorce, you have an 87% chance of getting a second divorce.
So I got divorced in 2011. So I'm like
You're
over.
good to go. You're good to go.
So where is my queen? If you're out there, call me.
He's a good guy. I'll vote for him. But talking about relationships, I meant to say earlier, he and I have a really unique relationship because we have faced death a couple times. And when you come close to losing your partner,
That brings
it
that
changes your
intimate,
dynamic.
yes. Oh, I definitely understand
It's
that
still-
completely.
Been a lot of
Understood.
years ago, but it's still very raw.
Understood, Terry. Understood.
she realizes how close is she came to get rid of me, and then
I should have just kept my mouth shut for another hour.
I actually had what they call necrotizing fasciitis, which is
Flesh-eating bacteria.
Flesh-eating bacteria, and there was a point where, literally, had she kept her mouth shut for another couple of hours, rather than demanding a second opinion, I probably would not be speaking with you at this point. So.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
I mean,
That's an amazing story.
That,
That, to me, is true love, because when we're talking about the things that people leave for illness.
Yes.
I know so many people that may have gotten diagnosed with cancer or anything.
He's had that too.
And, amazing.
Like that
story.
too, yeah.
And people leave. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's like the worst time to leave someone. And there's a life-threatening ailment and someone would leave you. That's like,
But from being now, we've both been the sick person, but I mean, I've been the one that came that close to dying, came closer to dying, and from being on that part of it, on that side of it, I can see that.
right.
And
Because
I'm not trying to-
it's a lot of work. And
Yeah, and I'm not
our
trying
next
to-
show is we're going to talk about caregivers and the struggles that they go through too. But you guys can talk about
I've worked in the healthcare field for 30
Oh,
years.
so you know.
But
But
for
I mean,
2
I-
years, I had to wrap his leg. Initially, I had to give him insulin shots. I became a wound nurse because he didn't want to go to a rehabilitation facility.
Wow, that's an
And
amazing
she
story.
didn't have to do that.
Visiting
She didn't have
nurses
to do
wanted
that.
to hire me.
That's an amazing story.
So, I mean,
So we're gonna sum it up, but one other thing I want to talk to you about, because and this is geared toward the young people, but older people too. And people do this different ways, and you don't have to tell us the way you do yours. I do want to talk about finances. Sometimes, and I want to talk about this because I'm leading somewhere with this with our next show. Sometimes women feel financially abused because if the husband makes the money or the wife makes the money and they control the money, but you're a partner in the marriage, but you have no say so. So I just want to, if you guys have, and like I said, you don't have to disclose how you guys do yours, but the importance of managing your money to where everyone feels safe and everyone feels comfortable.
Right.